The views and opinions in this program are not those of CISA 7 or Spectrum.
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. First we're going to start with roll call. Kinsey? Oh, I thought we had to do it again. It's on the agenda. It's okay if we don't have to do it. That's fine. Everyone's here. All right. The next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next I'd just like to welcome our ICSC representatives. Would you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Viva Winkler. I go to Southwest and I'm a junior.
Hi, my name is Tatiana and I am a freshman and I go to Southwest.
Thank you. Welcome. Please speak up during the meeting if on any topic. The next is our mission statement. Would someone like to read that, please? Go ahead, Laura.
We educate all students to be college, career, and community ready, inspired to succeed in our diverse world.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the land acknowledgement. I'll read that. We, the members of the Green Bay Area Public School District, recognize and honor the original inhabitants of Northeast Wisconsin. Our district lives, works, and learns upon the ancestral homelands of the Menominee and Ho-Chunk nations and the current homeland of Oneida Nation. We acknowledge the 12 diverse and vibrant Wisconsin First Nations who have persevered here since before recorded time and continue to be integral parts of our community. We uphold our responsibility to repair relationships, initiate partnerships, and stand with all First Nation communities. All right. Next, under recognition, we have, we're going to be recognizing our district's Golden Apple winners. So here, we're going to do this. I'm going to come up over here. Yep. You don't want to stand up? Oh God, I've never done this before.
It should be on.
Can you hear me? Excellent. All right. So it's my pleasure tonight to recognize this year's Golden Apple recipients from Kennedy Elementary School's autism team, Madeline Labatt, Hope Smeester, and Riley Schmidt. I had the pleasure, as did Laura Layden Warren and James Lyerly, and who else was there? Sorry, Lynn. We had the pleasure of attending this year's Golden Apple ceremony, which recognized not only this year's awards winners, but recipients for the last 3 years, where our GBAPS was very well represented. Madeline, Hope, and Riley, thank you for joining us tonight so that we may publicly recognize you. At tonight's board meeting, you exemplify the commitment, compassion, and excellence that teachers bring every day to our classrooms. Thank you for all you do on behalf of our students, and congratulations again on your prestigious award. Here we go. That's look right. All right, I think Lori wants to take a quick shot. Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is under an open forum, and the first thing we're going to start with is our Intracity Student Council report.
For good news for East, we have girls soccer team has been winning recent games. And then the track team finished in third place at recent meet. And then the soccer girls game on the 24th. The soccer girls had a game today. And library week is this week with special effects involving food and library activities. And then the senior lock-in on graduation date, June 2nd at 9:30 through 1 a.m. And the student elections are coming up. And we don't really have any news yet for our JDOL. So for good news for prom, for Preble, we have prom on April 22nd, and tickets are starting to be sold for the senior ball. And FBLA heading to state competition Monday and Tuesday. And then for DECA competing at nationals in Florida, hosts made it to nationals, and then the academic decathlon nationals in Texas is next week. And track team for Preble has taken first.
All right, so over at Southwest, our golf boys have been having some recent meets. Prom was April 15th. Our spring play was this previous Thursday and Friday. It was a hit. Cheer will be hosting open gym, leading up to their tryouts coming up soon. And this week we will be hosting an autism walk around the track. And then over at West, this previous Thursday was their National Honor Society induction ceremony. Their track team is doing well. Boys tennis is doing well. They have a career fair coming up on May 2nd. April 29th will be their prom, and they have a pep assembly on the 28th. IB exams will begin in May. They have an Octagon Club scholarship. Octagon Club is kind of like a community service group. So they have a $1,000 scholarship opportunity the decision for that will be coming out soon. They hosted a band music festival this past week. They also hosted a Golden House Drive for menstrual products. Their Tiny Earth group selected 8 students for next year. Tiny Earth is a group of students that get to travel to a college. I'm not sure which college, but they get to examine soil and look for different antibiotics in it, which is awesome. And they had 2 students go to state for forensics in Madison.
Thank you very much. And the next item on our agenda is our public forum. As of now, I just have one person who has signed up to speak. If there's more, you need to fill out the form and submit them to Kinsey, and she'll help you. So I'll just call the first person is Kate Janiak. If you'd like to come forward, please. If you would please, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and your address.
Kate Janiak, 3751 North Holland Road, New Franken, 54229. I am here again tonight to express my concerns regarding the potential closure of Weequahic Elementary School Children's Center for Environmental Science. I fully understand the need to reduce expenses for the district's budget and know there will be cuts and closures, but what I don't understand is why we need to close buildings that are in good working condition and schools that have potential for growth given the chance. Why do these changes need to be so drastic? The number of schools closings by the recommendation of the task force is absolutely sickening. By closing these neighborhood schools and condensing them, it's like turning them into mega farms. Is that really what we want for our children? Will that really be the best education for them? The district seems to pride itself on the numerous pathways that it has to offer. Where are all these going to go? Are they just going to get cut? Are we just going to add multiple pathways to one school and hope the teachers can figure out curriculums that will fit them all? It seems like the district has a lot to figure out before deciding to close on all these buildings and schools. The district needs to be looking at ways to fill chairs at our schools. Everyone knows that enrollment numbers have decreased during the pandemic, and nothing seems to be done to entice those students to return to their home district. There are so many missed marketing opportunities showcasing our schools and that they have a lot to offer, especially Weequahic. There is no reason that Weequahic shouldn't have a wait list for those wanting to enroll their children there, other than the fact that the district has failed us. I have heard numerous stories of families wanting to open enroll there and they have been denied. To you, this may look like a twisted mess of twigs and sticks, but to my family, it means so much more. These are twigs that Eleanor, my daughter, was able to collect around the woods that surround Weequahic and had numerous learning opportunities while exploring the woods. They've learned about the growth cycles of the bushes and trees, the life cycles of animals that live around the school. It shows the patience of her kindergarten teacher to help each child make their Mother's Day gifts. It shows the love the school has for its families while embracing the environment. Environmental focused schools are being strongly sought out and the desire is only going to increase. But if you vote to close Weequahic, then the district will be losing a great asset to the community as well as currently enrolled families and future families. I strongly encourage each and every one of you on the board, along with leadership employees of the district office, to come see Weequahic and see our children actively learning in the environmental space where they are thriving. Come see our children participating in activities that you won't find in other schools in the district. Come see our children truly enjoying this part of their childhood at a school that values them. And as you're spending time over the next few weeks thinking before voting on this huge decision that is going to have a major impact on this whole community, remember who is going to be truly affected by this, our current children and the future children of the district. Let's get creative with different ways to help the district cut other costs and be looking at ways to fill the chairs, not removing them from our schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other ones, Kinsey? Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to the consent agenda approval. Would someone please read the motion? Anybody? Go ahead, Brian.
I move that the consent agenda items as presented be approved.
Second.
Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Thank you. I just want to note that one of the things we just voted on is actually a big deal. Tonight, we're joined by the new principal for the Leonardo da Vinci School. And would you like to come up? Her name is Vicki Leesgang. And I would love to, if you just come up and say hi.
Thank you for having me. I'm Vicki Leisking.
Yeah, well, can you talk in the microphone so that it's recorded?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Vicki Leisking. I come to you from the Seymour Community School District, where I have been in their district for 23 years. I have been in a classroom for 18 years. Therefore, I've been in the trenches, done the work. Our kids are phenomenal. Our teachers work hard. The last 5 years, my position was a leadership role within the district. District learning support and gifted and talented coordinator for the district. And so I'm really excited to be here this evening. I can't wait to work with our kids, our students, our staff, and various stakeholders in the district. So thank you so much for welcoming me, and I'm sure I'll be seeing all of you.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on now to number 7, presentations. And the first item is the legislative update. James, do you have anything to share?
I do, and I want to apologize to the board members that I failed to ensure that this memo was made available, and I'll work with administrative staff to make sure that it's made public. Last month, we started tracking several bills that were going through the legislative session. Most of them have not seen any additional activity, and they're waiting for some action. There are a couple that I want to pull out and highlight. There are some listening sessions scheduled for 3 bills. One that we may want to participate in is Assembly Bill 77, which streamlines the pupil applications for those attending private schools participating in parental choice programs, basically making it an evergreen application. You do it the first year and it kind of auto renews, so you don't have to go through and apply every year. Beyond that, the 2 bills that did receive some activity, Assembly Bill 53 and Assembly Bill 69, both of them are kind of in the same category, and these we discussed in the March board meeting, and they pertain to having to report certain crimes and other incidents that occur on school property. And they were both, and also up to a threshold where you may have get funding for resource officers, given that you cross a threshold of a number of incidents in a particular year. Both of them passed the House and have been forwarded to the Senate. There are a couple of items that are have been sent to the Assembly Committee on Education. One of note is kind of a prototype joint resolution that we've seen throughout the nation. It's Assembly Joint Resolution number 8, which provides for an advisory referendum on whether school districts should be prohibited from teaching that one race or sex is superior and or responsible for past actions, which I know is something that we'll want to pay close attention to. Other than that, I'll make sure that the memorandum is posted. One last item, Wednesday is the last opportunity. I think, Laura, you're going to go.
I'm going.
That is the Joint Finance Committee's budget listening session. This one is the one that is taking place in Minocqua, April 26th at 10 a.m. if anyone is available.
Great. Thank you, James. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Regarding the Assembly Bill 77, has WASBA or the school district administration, any groups taken a position on that?
Sorry, which one was that again?
That's the streamlining the application and the evergreen, the auto renewal of it.
I haven't seen it.
We'll look into that. I have not heard that they've taken a position on that one way or the other.
Okay. I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, James. Yes, I'm heading up actually tomorrow. I'm going to head up to Minocqua because apparently if you want to actually be heard for the 2 minutes they give you, you need to be in line at like 6 in the morning. So that's what I'll be doing. So.
Could you remind us why you're going all the way to Minocqua for a legislative hearing, Laura?
Because there isn't one that's being offered locally.
No, Appleton,
No.
Manitowoc, Oshkosh even,
No.
so, but Wausau, but 2 hours though. Okay, well, thank
No.
you for doing that. Sincerely. I mean, yeah,
No,
that's a
no,
big
I
deal, yeah.
believe you. I just, I
It's
did,
unfortunate that you have to go that far.
yeah, but, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Regarding Assembly Bill 77, according to the state legislature, it's listed as an act to create regarding the pupil applications to attend private schools participating in parental choice program. So it's a little more specific with it than open enrollment coming from the legislative website. So just let you know that.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is the report of canvassers. And I'm sorry, I was remiss. I should have said this at the beginning. We have a new person at the board table, Lynn Gerlach. Yeah. Sorry, Lynn, I should have said that first thing. Yeah, you were here at our last meeting and you already feel like you're part of the fabric of our organization. But anyway, so this is the official report from the clerk, and I believe Andrew is going to talk about it.
Okay. I will read the certification of the Board of Canvassers, and then I will, unless the board wishes me to, I won't read the numbers for every ward, but then I'll read the totals at the end, if that's okay with everybody.
Yes.
But if you want me to read them for all of the wards, I will.
No,
Um,
I think we're good.
Okay. I made maps with them that are available online. Certification of the Board of Canvassers. We, the undersigned, certify that we are the members of the Board of Canvassers for the City of Green Bay. We certify that the attached tabular statement of votes cast and summary statement of the Board of Canvassers, canvassed and prepared by us, are correct and true as compiled from the original returns made to Celestine Jeffries clerk. The City of Green Bay clerk has a central role in the small time municipality district. We further determine and certify that the following persons received the greatest and next to greatest number of votes for the respective office for which each was a candidate on April 4th, 2023. Green Bay Area Public Schools Trustee, Laura McCoy. Green Bay Area Public Schools Trustee, Lynn Gerlach. And it is signed by 3 people who are the members of the board, but I do not see the names typed there. Do we? But it's clearly in the documents that are present.
Okay, I don't think we have.
And then, so summary statement of the Board of Canvassers. 2023 Spring General, April 4th, 2023. The total number of votes cast for Green Bay Area Public Schools Trustee was 73,254, which that number includes undervotes though. Laura McCoy received 17,414. Paul D. Boucher received 6,662. Lynn Gerlach received 16,174. And Noah Becker received 11,196. And there you go.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna give everyone a heads up here. We're about to head into part of our agenda where we're gonna pick our officers for the next year, and this sometimes takes a little bit of time, and it's there's voting and there's some discussion. So but we have to do this every year, and we're gonna do it again. So the first thing that we're going to do is elect the board president for the next year. And with that, I would ask for any nominations. Lynn?
I nominate Laura McCoy for president.
I don't believe that we need a second on these. Do we?
Second.
No? Okay. All right, no seconds. Any other, are there any other nominations? All right, any discussion? Okay, then I think we can go ahead and vote. Kinsey?
Do you accept the nomination, Laura?
Oh, I'm sorry. I do accept the nomination. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the faith that you put into me. Brian, please save me.
Since you gave such a great acceptance to it, I felt moved to speak on this, and it was sad that no one spoke on it. You have done a fantastic job leading this district through the last, leading the school board through the last year that I've been on it and previously to it, and I appreciate your support on it and trust your leadership. So, thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Any further discussion before we take a vote? Okay. Go ahead, Kinsey.
Just a reminder, when we're taking these votes, please say the person's last name instead of I. Gerlach,
McCoy.
Welch,
McCoy.
Leighton and Warren,
McCoy.
Lyerly,
McCoy.
McCoy,
McCoy.
Mills,
McCoy.
Becker.
McCoy.
All right. Okay, thank you. I didn't prepare anything, probably I should have, but as you all know, this next year, we're going to have a lot of very serious work ahead of us as a district. We always have a huge agenda. We're going to be greeting and onboarding a new superintendent, which will be exciting, and and we're all excited. We're all excited about that, having new leadership. And I'm just, I'm ready to kind of roll up my sleeves and get at it with the help of all of you. So, and our community at large. So thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is the election of the vice president. That position was held by Dawn Smith, who is no longer on the board, having chosen not to run again. So we need a new person, and I would open the floor for nominations. Brian,
I'd like to nominate Andrew Becker for the position of vice president.
okay. Lynn Gerlach,
I would like to nominate James Lyerly for vice president.
okay. Any other nominations? Okay, any discussion? Go ahead, Brian.
I think our board is in a very healthy position, and I think that we're continue forward with that. I think Andrew, regardless of how this election turns out, I think we've got a strong board and we'll continue on with that. I think Andrew has brought years of experience to the board and expertise with that area. And while having a variety of opinions on the board is definitely important, I think that we are able to handle that, and it's a sign of a healthy board handling those differences of opinions and having all spots addressed. I think any one of us would do a fantastic job as vice president. And I'm confident with our board, which however this goes forward.
Okay, any other comments? Go ahead, Lynn.
I certainly don't have any feelings that one person or another should or shouldn't be vice president, but I have been watching the board meetings for about 6 months now. And I have always been inspired by the preparedness of James and his clear thinking and his respect for everyone. And so that's simply why I'm supporting him.
Any other comments, discussion? Go ahead.
So board vice president, if it's, if it's me, I'll do a good job. If it's James, he'll do a good job. He'll be very dedicated. But having been the vice president after the system was changed, and no one here was president or vice president at the time, that there was some pretty significant discussion over the role of the vice president. And there were some discussions happened, and we ended up in a situation where Brenda Warren and Ed Dorff were president and vice president. And there was a transition from having just the president, a weekly meeting of just the president and the superintendent, to the president and the vice president. The thought being that if you had two people of some difference of opinion, bringing different perspectives to that meeting, that's a very critical, that's a very important thing to do. And that, because that's a meeting that has a large amount of practical authority on what will be discussed at the board table and when. And the counter argument to that is going to be, but board members can and do bring up anything that, and that's true. But a lot of things were able to happen. Some questions were answered before things had to have a board vote in some cases. Everything always has a right to have a board vote. There's also an important factor to consider here about the history and the historical perspective that as of right now, among the board members, only I'm able to bring at the central level. Nancy has significant history with the district in certain buildings, right? So we have a situation where we're bringing in a new superintendent who will be spending a lot of time. There'll be this important weekly meeting between the president, the vice president, and the new superintendent. It seems to make sense that, to me, I think my 24 years of experience in the room is a valuable and important thing that I would still offer outside of that room. But if I'm not in the room, we don't know what I don't know what it is or isn't being offered in regards to. This is by no means a situation where I feel that there's any kind of entitlement here. If board president Warren had moved back to Green Bay and run, she would have substantial experience side by side with me too. But here, I think it's a choice between a good board member who could bring into that meeting 24 years of experience in the district at these highest levels, or a good board member who can bring a little more than 1 year of experience into that meeting. And I think that's important. It's important, and it's meaningful, and that's where I'm coming from.
Any other discussion? Laura?
I have a question. I think Andrew brings up some great points about his experience, and I like the perspective that he always brings for discussion. My question is, for the meetings that happen weekly, are it's not more than 4 would be considered a quorum. Can 3 people attend if there's a particular week that somebody else on the board wanted to attend the meeting with the superintendent? Is that an option?
I don't know what was it?
Good evening. Laura always asks the most difficult questions, I think. Currently, the policy with respect to the agenda setting and with those pre-meetings indicates it is the board president and the vice president. I think that's what Andrew was alluding to with respect to what the changes were. It's in the policy 100s, but we're bringing the 100 series policies forward in May, so we can always address that concern. The concern about meeting with 3 board members is you get into the potential of a walking quorum, because there are certain votes that require a majority of all 7 board members. And so once you start getting into where the 4 could be implicated, you could have essentially a negative quorum, and that could pose issues with respect to posting. I certainly could have those meetings and post them if that's what you're looking for with respect to 3 board members. The purpose of the meeting is really agenda preparation for the board meeting, and as it is in the policy, the agenda preparation is the responsibility of the vice president and the president.
clarify, the three wouldn't create a walking quorum. One would, but if there were a fourth person, that would create that challenge.
It could create a negative walking quorum. What? Correct.
Can you explain it more though, in a scenario with 7, I'm having a harder time understanding except for things with, which are 2/3, which is exceedingly rare.
I'm a
Because
little- I'm a little bit uncomfortable with this is not on our agenda tonight to talk about this particular thing, so can we just proceed with caution? That's all. Go ahead.
My concern with having a possible change like that and looking at the elections is that the 4 people that would not be involved in that would not be privy to the same knowledge, and that we wouldn't know those people would not know what they don't know. And I'm guessing that's kind of what a negative quorum would be.
Correct. And again, the purpose is solely for the purpose of establishing the meeting agenda. It's not substantive with respect to discussing the various issues that come to this board and having that discussion, as Brian points out, then the rest of the board doesn't have that information. It is setting the agenda for the meeting.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I guess my concern is that in the 2 years I've been on the board, I've been trying to get certain things addressed. And I really I'm at a loss kind of how to do that. You know, and I don't know if it's just because my issues aren't important enough. I don't know. Anybody, I think you all know what I'm talking about. And if anybody can address that and help me with that.
But you've had multiple meetings.
So
We're not, this isn't on our agenda
I just
tonight.
want to, my answers were solely within the respect of the role of the vice president. So I just want to make sure that we're staying within the role of the vice president with respect to this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, but then it would make, you know, it would sway your vote. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Go ahead, Andrew.
So this is no surprise or anything new, and it can easily look back throughout the record. I guess if there are goals as vice president, my goal would be that all viewpoints are heard, all viewpoints have a chance to get an up or down vote. And of course, none of the 7 of us would be in the viewpoints of the board. None of the 7 of us are gonna, obviously, could you imagine something that would be so ridiculous or inappropriate or something, but none of us are gonna do that. So my perspective is very simple. Whether I strongly agree or strongly disagree with an idea or a concept, I would always support finding the way to place it on the agenda. And if you can believe me or not, if the roles were reversed and I was board president, I would want Laura to be the vice president in this situation. I think it is healthy. I think it was healthy when Brenda and I, who disagreed often, were president and VP. I think it was healthy when Brenda and Ed, who were president and vice president, who disagreed quite a bit. I think that was also healthy. And I think it's disappointing that has kind of fallen away in between.
Okay, I'm going to weigh in here. So I'm going to be supporting James. And as James knows, we don't always agree. We have intense and lengthy conversations at times about our feelings about public education in general, and kind of how we approach things. And I find that in those conversations, I learned things. I learned new perspectives, and I value that enormously. So, and I've told James this, that often these conversations add nuance to my way of thinking, and I really, really appreciate that and value it. So I'll be supporting James, and I'll leave it there. So we don't always agree. I know that. I know that for sure. So
You do, we would disagree more than you and James would, but that's. And on most of the important stuff, we would agree, just to clarify that. This is about those, you know, is it 10, is it 20%, right? Important 10 or 20%.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Just a point of information. I want to make sure I understand what's going on here. We're going to vote for vice president now, and no matter who we vote for, it has nothing to do with who's going to attend the meetings with the superintendent. If we're going to change the protocol, that will be in a future agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else want to offer any discussion? James, do you want to share anything? This is your opportunity.
So I appreciate the nomination. And I recognize that I've been here just over a year and that's measured in days. I appreciate my role on the board. You know, I think that Andrews and I sometimes differ on the role of the board. And I know that there's some latitude in how it's legislated that boards can exist. And we have, as a board in the Green Bay area public school system, opted by policy to constrain ourselves and set ourselves up in a governance role that enjoys less latitude than the law permits, right? So, and I think when we differ, it's probably when we start challenging those barriers of what's our lane and what's the district's lane. And that's, to Andrew's point, a healthy differentiation out there. But I think anyone's going to do a good job, right? And everyone's going to have the best intentions to move our district forward. So I appreciate the conversations that we have, and I appreciate constructive differences because there is not one opinion. So thank you.
Okay. So before we take a vote, I just want to agree with Brian. Like, it's a huge advantage to all of us and to our district that we function in a healthy way together. And no matter who wins this, we'll continue in that manner. So yeah, until we have to take up who's going to be secretary. So. All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about? Go ahead, Laura.
Just one point to go back on Lynn's question. Currently in policy, just the vice president and president meet with the superintendent to establish the agenda. And the question I had would involve updating our 100 level policies, which are coming forward to the board. So you'll get a chance to review those.
Yeah,
coming up.
I guess, yeah, that isn't maybe commonly known for everyone that Melissa, as I've met with her and you'll be meeting with her we're in the process of updating those policies, and those are the policies that govern the school board. So they need to be renewed and reviewed and updated on a regular basis. And Melissa does a good job of doing that with all of our policies, actually. So. Okay, I think we're ready to take a vote. Kinsey?
Welch,
Lyerly,
Leighton and Warren. Leighton and Warren,
Lyerly,
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 McCoy,
Lyerly,
Mills,
Becker,
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 Gerlach,
Lyerly.
is that everyone? Okay, all right. So James, that'll be you. Yep. Okay, now we're moving on to the really controversial stuff here. So. Yes.
And Melissa, I'm sorry to ask you this. This is going to be a complicated one. We do not have a position in parliamentarian. Is that something that we could add to the responsibilities of either clerk or treasurer? I'm sorry, not treasurer, secretary.
I know that some boards have that, some school boards have that. Do you want to kind of describe what that might look like?
Typically, a parliamentarian is just looking at Robert's rules, so we're making sure that we are having the most efficient meeting as possible. In particular, we'd be looking at motions being made that are in order, speakers lists, and making sure that it's just going as far as accuracy, especially in some areas where we could have pro and con, and making sure that all sides are heard with that. I think it's important. I've been on boards that are similar size. To be honest, part of it is with just the makeup of the room of looking heavily left or right, that someone is taking care of making sure hands are being raised and that we have a speakers list going for it. So it's 1 for, 1 against, and everyone has a chance to do that. I think it's something that would possibly fall under the responsibilities of either the clerk or the secretary, or something that could be brought forward when we're reviewing these. And just utilizing Robert's rules, especially on some meetings that I anticipate may be necessary for that.
Would that also include, I know like, I believe in the city council, Lynn, you can maybe speak to this. People get two at bats on an issue. So they can speak twice on an individual issue and then they're done.
So the beautiful thing about Robert's rules is the body can at any time make a motion to suspend the rules and go through either going into with other organizations I've been on, either go into an informal setting as far as the communication, but it gives us that backdrop to make sure that the board or whatever the body is, I don't want to say fair, but making sure that it's being run in the most efficient manner with it.
Okay, you've functioned in that role. Do you have anything to say against her? As far as having like only getting twice to speak, et cetera, or suspending rules and things like that?
Well, from my perspective, that's a very tiny part of parliamentary procedure. I do know on city council, surely you remember the times when Mayor Genrick would say, Alder so-and-so for a third time.
Yeah.
You know, you get a chance. If you really have to speak a third time, you raise your hand and the chair usually gives it. It doesn't happen very often. But I think that's a minor part of parliamentary procedure.
Okay. Do you want to, should we, go ahead, Melissa. Sorry.
That's okay. I have a 3-part answer to this question with respect to the secretary role. So the secretary role is usually fulfilled by the superintendent's administrative assistant, because that person serves in the role of being able to accept formal notices, the various different legal things that she does with WASB, and acting as the board's representative on a day-to-day basis during the normal working hours when you're all fulfilling your other jobs that you're doing at that time. So I think that would be a little difficult to attach it to that role. With respect to the treasurer or the clerk's position, I take no position with respect to that. I do want to say that, again, coming forward is the 100 in the 100 series, we have a policy that talks about loosely following Robert's rules for small boards. But in addition to that, there is there's a rule that I have proposed and that Laura McCoy has reviewed and Lauren and I are going to review tomorrow, that more specifically talks about those things, Brian, of following those procedures of when a motion can be made, who can make the motion, the discussion, the speakers list, those sorts of things. So that would make sense to me that you would have one of the officers that you're going to be voting on tonight fill that role, or you can create, when we bring those 100 series policies forward, a parliamentarian within the board roles. And at that time, you could elect someone to be in charge of that role.
I feel like we should at least have the discussion and flesh that out a little bit. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's interesting, but, and I'd love to like talk to somebody who's on a board where they have a parliamentarian and how that affects how they operate. Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
I'm just saying, was this on our agenda?
No.
Okay, and see.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Having the position of the clerk and coming up for an election, I do feel that this, and there's not a job description posted with it, I do feel that it does meet that part to have the discussion with it. And if I'm out of order, I'm out of order.
Okay. All right, well, let's talk about it go ahead, Melissa.
So if the discussion tonight is to assign the role of parliamentarian to one of the positions you have left to vote for, you can have that discussion. If the discussion is you want to explore having a parliamentarian, that should not happen tonight. That should happen when we discuss the 100 series policies.
Okay, I would be in favor of having that discussion at another time. And so voting tonight without, I don't know, does anyone have anything else? Like, I would like to vote tonight just without considering that because it's not on the agenda, but, go ahead, Brian.
I realize we're going on a slope with this, but if someone runs for the clerk spot and then the parliamentarian positions are added to that,
Mhm.
I realize that that's the thought process I'm going with, having it before the election, that they would recognize that with it and to.
The problem for me is that, I know that you and I think Andrew would be quite comfortable with that role. I would not, I would have to be brought up to speed on how to actually do that, even though, I mean, because there's complexities to that role. So that's why I feel like attaching it to the vote tonight might be difficult. Because I don't know who else on this board right now would be able to actually do that role. Would you? Okay, well then there's a third person right there. So I don't know, other people weigh in. Go ahead, Andrew.
I don't think we're posted in such a way that we could like officially add that duty while we're voting for the clerk. I think the point is more that it's maybe something that someone wishing to run for clerk would consider, that it could be a part of it.
But
And then we're on treasurer next too.
Yeah, but since we can't really do that tonight, I don't know how to proceed. So that's why I think the safer bet right now is to go ahead and fill these two roles and ask and have that put on the agenda for further discussion at a later date. Are we good with that? Everyone, go ahead, Laura.
I'm familiar with Robert's rules as well. The United Nations uses it in our General Tribal Council meetings. It's very formal. I mean, and I would be supportive talking about it in the future, but not assigning it necessarily right now.
Okay.
And I don't want to wear a powdered wig if we go that route.
Oh, no, I think we all need to have a powdered wig. No. Okay. Any further, anything else, guys? Well, we need to someone needs to nominate someone for the treasurer, and I don't know who is interested in this. It doesn't have much of a, it doesn't have a lot to it as far as time commitment or anything. Go ahead.
I nominate Brian Mills.
There you go.
I'm going to turn down that nomination because I'm concerned about this parliamentarian thing.
You're not serious, right? Really? Okay. Go ahead, Lynn.
May I ask who the treasurer is now?
Okay.
I nominate Nancy Welsh for treasurer.
Tell me some more about that parliamentary thing.
Okay. Yeah, do you accept it?
I accept it.
Excellent. All right. Any further nominations? All right, looks like we're ready to take a vote. Kinsey?
Leighton and Warren,
Welch,
Lyerly,
Welch,
McCoy,
Welch?
Mills,
Welch,
Becker,
Welch,
Gerlach,
Welch,
Welch.
Welch.
Okay. It's gonna be Nancy. All right. Thank you, Nancy. I'm sure you can buy some books on Amazon on how to do parliamentary procedure. Or Brian might have some.
He's gonna do it clear.
Oh. Okay, next is election of the clerk. I think this one has a fair amount of document signing and again, that's not a huge time commitment or anything, but does have a role. So I would open the floor to nominations. Go ahead, Laura.
I'd like to nominate Andrew Becker for the clerk.
Okay. Andrew, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Brian Mills for the clerk.
Brian,
I do
I do what?
accept the nomination.
Okay. All right. So we have two nominations, two nominees. That's unexpected. Any further nominations? Go ahead.
Who is the clerk now?
All right. Any discussion? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Andrew.
I mean, we would both be fine. This office is ceremonial and the two of us are probably the two most knowledgeable if there's a parliamentary procedure portion to it, so. But it traditionally, while there may have been policy differences that affect president, vice president, traditionally treasurer and clerk have generally been more senior members as a ceremonial role.
Okay. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Ryan.
I think Andrew's done a great job. He's signed stuff and things with it. And the part that intrigues me is the opportunity to streamline our meetings. So I like Andrew, and I think we do a fantastic job as well, but just that streamlining possibility. So that's all.
Okay. Go ahead, Laura.
Two things. One, I nominated Andrew again because of the his tenure on the board. And I'm not sure how that would have an influence on the meetings in terms of streamlining.
Yeah.
If that's put into the clerk, we would both do the same.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay, Kinsey, I think we're ready to vote.
Lyerly,
Mills,
McCoy,
Mills,
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 Becker,
Becker,
Gerlach,
Becker,
Welch,
Becker,
Leighton and Warren.
Becker.
okay. Then it's going to be Andrew Becker. All right. Okay, the next is election of the secretary to the Board of Education, which is currently held by our indispensable Kinsey Lear, who basically keeps us all on the straight and narrow and is I guess I'm nominating her. I guess. But we all depend on her and rely on her, and it's not just the board, it's our superintendent, it's our staff, it's the public who she takes their calls, and it's a huge job with huge responsibility and requires long hours and a lot of hard work. So she's been doing a great job for the last year, and less than a year, I think, right? Yeah, so I'm nominating her, so. I don't know if there's any other discussion on there, and I don't know to what purpose, but if anyone would like to chime in, feel free. Okay. Does Kinsey get to take the vote on her own? Okay, then that's what we're gonna do right now. Thank you, Kinsey. Go ahead.
Are we sure there's no other nominees? No other takers? All right, McCoy,
Kinsey Lear,
Mills,
Lear.
Becker,
Lear,
Gerlach,
Lear.
Welch,
Lear.
Leighton and Warren,
Lear.
Lyerly,
Lear.
okay, it's unanimous. She's our secretary for 1 more year. Okay, the next part of this is the appointments, and looking at this, I kind of I thought it would be better to kind of go through this and with a little bit more relaxed attitude. As far as not necessarily doing hardcore appointments. Some of these don't have to be decided tonight either, and sometimes we wait until a little bit further into the next year before we appoint somebody. But the first one is legislative liaison. And I don't know, I think that James has been doing a great job at this. I don't know if he is open to being nominated. And if anyone else is open to taking this position. If you have anything, James, go ahead and share.
Well, it was given to me I was nominated first year in. It's a great way to get really involved with the board and see that legislative perspective on how we operate. So actually, I would like Lynn to maybe consider taking the position, leveraging her extensive background in city politics. I think she would be a great candidate.
Okay, so is that a no you would like to not?
That's a no.
That's a no. And then you're nominating
That's a yes.
Glenn Gerlach. Okay, all right. So any other nominations?
well, point of order, these aren't people put their names up, but they're presidential.
You're right.
appointments.
I take that back. Would anybody else be interested? Okay. All right. Then I don't know, Lynn, how do you feel about that?
I'd be a really good parliamentarian. Back 100 years ago, when I was an undergraduate, I actually took a 2-credit course in parliamentary procedure.
Okay,
But they've probably changed the rules since then. I mean, if you need me to do it, I will learn how to do it. I don't know. That would be a tough call.
I did it for, I don't know, like 4 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, when I first came on the board, there's resources, there's people that can help you. And some months, frankly, there isn't much going on in the state legislature, and not much to report out. So I don't know. Go ahead, Laura.
Like you, I was nominated, I think the first, after being on for a month, and Christina Shelton sent updates via email, and you can put as much into it as you'd like, and everybody is especially supportive, and we appreciate whatever information you bring forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that, what Laura just said, so. Okay, go ahead.
So I really do have some very smart friends who are very connected to legislative things, and they can teach me. And if you need me to do it, I will do it, but nothing else.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So we'll put you down for legislative liaison. All right, the next is CISA 7 liaison and representative to annual convention. I think, Brian, do you currently hold that?
I am I'm not sure. I believe I'm our WASPA delegate, and that we kind of tied them both in. So as you can tell, I haven't really attended many meetings with CISA
Yeah.
other than our start of the year one.
It's been kind of a mysterious, we were trying to remember today, like kind of how this
I
worked
think I'm our
last time.
WASPA delegate.
WASPA?
I think so.
Or
WASB.
Actually, I've been the delegate for WASB.
Oh. Then CISA, so, yeah.
All right. Would you be interested in doing this again? I'm sorry, we're getting a little bit giddy here, so go ahead, Andrew.
There is, this would be the one that, historically was handed to the new member. Historically, I had to do it in 1998.
Okay.
And I liked it, but it wasn't always. Sometimes a person can't go, so it's okay if they don't. I'd say the history is that it has gone to the new member, or, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Brian.
Part of my professional job, I deal with CISA on different areas, and for that reason, I'd like to pass on that.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead, Nancy.
I'll do it.
Excellent. There you go. That's all we need to know.
Here we
Okay.
go.
So WASB delegate and alternate. So part of the reason I've done this since basically I've been on the board is that I can go to the convention, which is the major role is in January. The convention happens. There's a number of meetings that you have to go to and you have to be available. And that's been kind of, and then you go to the convention and as a delegate, you vote on all the resolutions that WASB puts forward, and there's a giant long process. But you get to the convention and you vote on these. There's usually, I don't know, anywhere from 15 to 25 usually resolutions. And that's what I've been doing, I think, every year since I've been on the board. So I'm happy to do it again. But if anyone else, has a strong feeling about that, now's the time to speak up. Okay. Next is Head Start representative. You know what, that should be decided closer to the convention as to availability. Frankly, it's pretty hard to take time off in the middle of a week. It's, 3 days in the middle of the week. It's hard to get people who can do that. So when we get closer to the convention, let's, Kinsey, can you kind of put a little reminder on the calendar to have us readdress that? And if I can't go either, like we'll have to have 2 people lined up. So the next one is Head Start representative. Now, Nancy's been doing that. Before Nancy did it, I was doing it, and we did it together for a year. And what I'm hoping is that that Lynn would consider doing it. You guys do it together, and so that we have a plan if Nancy doesn't want to do it anymore. So it's a very interesting. Our Head Start program is endlessly fascinating and actually just really positive. I know you enjoy those meetings. I did too. So Lynn, would you be willing to take that on? Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Unless, okay, I should probably ask anyone else if they're interested as well. Go ahead, Laura.
I did it for the last year with Nancy and it's a great experience, but unfortunately I'm not able to continue. So I'm thankful that somebody else will take up.
Yeah, it's basically, do you still do it via Zoom? No, you're doing it in person. Excellent. Okay. So you get to see the facilities and they're, something that our district's very proud of. So, okay. I believe we've now completed that part and we can move on.
Laura, I
Yes.
just have the school board member assignments there. So
Okay.
everybody can take a look and see what
Yeah.
schools they are assigned.
Brian, I had an idea about this that I think we need to consider. Go ahead.
I would just like to postpone this until the next meeting. I had a couple of questions I wanted to speak with the president on. Part of it's my fault. I didn't look at it before this, just to talk about some possible updating and modifications with it. So I'd like to make a motion to table it until the next meeting.
Okay. Can I, a second?
Second.
Okay. These new assignments don't come into effect until July 1st. So we do have a little bit of time. So we can do it next month. Okay?
Perfect.
Do we need to say, do we need to vote on that? What's that?
Yes.
Okay. Kinsey?
McCoy,
Aye.
Gerlach,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Welch,
Aye.
Becker,
Aye.
Leighton and Warren.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So let's table till next month. All right, next, we're gonna head into our action items, and the first item is revisions to Head Start COVID-19 mitigation policy. Yeah, could you go ahead, Vicky?
Actually, it was just
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
reminder that these were discussed at the
Oh,
work session.
sorry, I misunderstood you. Yes, so just anyone who's watching understands that these items have all been discussed in a previous meeting. We've had a chance to ask questions and discuss. We will also offer, people can also discuss and ask questions tonight. But if there aren't any questions, we will just go ahead and take votes. So, all right, go ahead, Brian.
I move that the revisions to the Head Start COVID-19 mitigation policy as presented be approved.
Second.
Okay, discussion, questions. Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Good, thank you. Next is the, let's see here. Yeah, so the next one, I have a question about that. The motion mentions vaping. Is it revised? Then I have a older copy. Okay, very good. All right. Okay. Would someone like to read the motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approve the authorization of commencement of litigation against various social media organizations as presented and execute the attorney-client fee contract authorizing the legal services of the France Law Group, APLC as lawyers, as attorneys for the district in the mass tort lawsuit against regarding social media.
Second.
Okay, questions? Discussion. Okay, Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay. C, memorandum of understanding with Green Bay Education Association for the parties' roles and responsibilities with respect to various leaves of absence for district employees. Would someone like to read the motion?
I'll read the motion that the memorandum of understanding with the Green Bay Education Association for the parties' roles and responsibilities with respect to various leaves of absence for district employees who are members of the association certified collecting and bargaining unit as presented be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Do we have questions? Do you have discussion? Okay, I guess we're ready to vote.
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Next, approval of recommendation for revisions to employee handbook language regarding attendance and leaves, except unpaid leaves and vacation revisions. Would someone like to read the motion? Go ahead.
I move that the revisions to the employee handbook regarding attendance and leaves, except revisions to unpaid leaves and vacation as presented, be approved.
Second.
Questions, discussion? Go ahead, Lynn.
I'm a little confused, so I might be wrong here. I'm concerned about, and I don't know which item it is on the agenda, so you might have to help me out. I'm just concerned that we had so many employees at the last meeting expressing concern about the policies, and now they've been changed, and I just want to make sure that we're hearing that the employees are good with the changes. Is this the one I'm worried about, or is it a different one? Melissa will tell me.
I think we're going to have Dave Harswick join us at the table as well. Oh, and Ben, excellent.
This motion is for all of the non-controversial issues. So we separated those out. And so this is for all of the language in the handbook that there were no questions about.
Okay. Andrew.
There's only one, but I actually did end up finding one that I had a question about before we get to the more controversial ones. I guess I would like to talk more about Christmas Eve and Christmas Day being removed. There's no secret that I am very progressive about inclusiveness of religions and diversity and all the policy that I've ever had. I just don't see this being something that I'm seeing done in a lot of other places. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the federal names of the holidays are the federal names of the holidays. And I guess I think it's strange to me if the Fed to change some to others than what the federal naming is of the holidays.
It's really just a separation of church and state to keep any type of religious connotation out of it. A lot of federal and other public entities, as well as private, have gone this route as well.
Have a lot of districts done this?
I don't have a count of how many, but yes, when we looked at other handbooks, they have. I know Madison in particular, I don't want to speak on other ones without having them in front of me.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
I move to strike the change of renaming Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Is there a second? Okay, there's no second.
This has never been done to someone before. I will not follow through on what I said before, that if this was ever done to me or to anyone else, I would leave the meeting. It is a supreme.
I second.
I'm not going to delay this. I know it's going to go.
Yes, so we have a motion and a second. I guess we're gonna take a vote. Okay, go ahead, Laura.
If nobody supports it, why, I don't just, are we gonna discuss more for the second?
I assume it'll just fail 1 to 6 then. Right? Yeah.
But there's also, there should also be an option of no one supports it.
You know what? I'll withdraw my motion if there's unanimous consent from everybody.
I withdraw my second.
Okay, then it's withdrawn. All right. So now we still have the motion and we're ready to take a vote on the motion. Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Thank you. Moving on to E, approval of recommendations for revisions to employee handbook regarding unpaid leaves. Would someone please read the motion?
I move that the revisions to the employee handbook regarding unpaid leaves as presented be approved.
I'll second that. All right, we're open to discussion or questions. Go ahead, Lynn.
Is this the one? I just want to make sure that, that the employees confirm that they are good with this. And if this isn't the right one, I'll wait for the next one.
This is the correct one, and we are in favor of this.
All right, any other questions, any other discussion? Okay, go ahead.
Just
Brett.
get a brief, since there's just been so much discussion over this, where we ended up with, how this ended up settling out and what was different since we last talked about it, just to get it out on the record.
So from my perspective, excuse me, between the original proposal that came from the administration, and then frankly, the feedback we received, at least from my perspective at the last meeting, I felt that this was the middle ground, excuse me, if you will. I think that we tried to meet the concern around attaching this sort of leave to a break by offering the 5% piece. And the other piece, frankly, provides some flexibility to staff as well. You know, not everything happens during the summer. You can try and plan things, but things come up. So it provides that flexibility. And I would say that, again, we have offered and said this repeatedly. I've said this to Laura and to Vicky and, you know, to Melissa and to Lori, that let's try this. And if it's not going well, then we're open to having that conversation. I think what's interesting, I'm not going to birdwalk too much, but one of the pieces that came out of the facilities task force about making certain evaluations happen sooner and making it a part of our regular work, I would say that it's the same kind of piece with reviewing the handbook. We should be looking at this more often. We should be reviewing these things more often and making sure that it's working well. And we're always open to that conversation. And again, I want to say this too. I said this at the last meeting, so you give me the mic and here we go. I want to thank, you know, interim superintendent Byer, because we made these requests back in the fall and winter of 2021. And with, you know, Vicky's leadership and the support of Lori and Melissa, you know, we had these conversations and we've spent months working on this. And you've seen the list of meetings, and it's just a testament to the relationship that we have forged over the last 10 years. Labor and management should be able to sit down, have conversations, and work things out. And I think this is a testament to that. So I appreciate the board's support of this, administration's support of this, and thank you.
And I appreciate your use of the word birdwalk. Well done.
Well, I was waiting to get called out of order again, so.
Just one other thing I just wanted to add on that is, I think that what's really important is that currently we don't have any parameters. And so this will be really helpful to have something. It'll also give us more data so that we can look at it going forward. So it is that continuous process improvement to look at, and at least now we'll have some things to look at to go forward with.
Okay, any other comments, Andrew?
I think, I think 3 days every 5 years would have been too, this seems awfully restrictive, and I think coming around to 3 days in 2 years, but a reasonable cap if it happens to be hitting too hard on a given day is reasonable.
Any other comments, Laura?
I just struggle with anything that's going to make us less an employer of choice. We really need strong employee support. And so I've just been a little pondering this a bit, but I appreciate you guys coming.
May I?
Go ahead.
One piece too. So to Lori's point about putting this in the handbook, that's really important too. I mean, we've had, as she said, there were really no stipulations. We want people to be able to open the handbook, read it, and know what it says, and this is what I need to do, et cetera. And then I would say, to your point, if it's not in the handbook, in terms of unpaid leave, if I've used it all, or I have some other extenuating circumstance, once in a lifetime piece that comes up in the same year, those folks can always go to the superintendent and ask for help as well. And if they're a GBA member, they can ask us for help, and we facilitate those conversations. And again, it goes back to what I said before about labor and management sitting down and trying to figure it out.
Any further questions? Any discussion? Go ahead, Brian.
My clarification from Melissa, is this something I would be needing to abstain on, or because it's not a financial thing, I would be able to vote on?
It's not financial, so you can vote on.
Okay, anybody else? All right, Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay, next, G. Approval of recommendation for revision to vacation accrual schedule for non-exempt employees. Would someone please like to read the motion?
That's F. I just
okay.
want to make sure that's F.
Did we skip F? I'm very sorry.
I think you, yep, you skipped F.
All right, well, going back to F, approval of recommendation for revision to vacation leave carryover for vacation eligible employees.
I move that the revisions to the employee handbook regarding vacation leave carryover for vacation eligible employees as presented be approved.
Second.
Okay. Questions, discussion? Go ahead.
Can you describe the change? For the life of me, I read the memo a couple times and I couldn't pinpoint this.
This one didn't change from last time. We just separated it out because the schedule did change.
Thank you. I was going crazy.
Okay. Anybody else? Andrew?
Okay, so this is, we do carryover first and then the schedule itself second. Okay. And so this doesn't change how much you can carry over, but it changes what you could cash out at the end. No, I'm just trying to follow the redlining.
Sorry, it is the carryover. It's that people be a maximum of 10 days carryover. And then next year, there would be a one-time payout for those who had up to, depending on the amount that they have, it could be 25, up to 25 days for those who get that. I mean, so it depends on what they currently had. And they would be, so they had a balance of 10.
Okay. All right.
So I guess what I would say to that is this is a situation where it seems to me to be something that, well, this is not, these are, unless there's some evidence that there's a huge risk of people taking these big 30-day checks years down the road when they retire. I think the city allows 30. I think it's something we're doing we're doing something more generous. And I think there's a strong case that it's not costing, it's a minimal trivial cost. I think we should be doing more than 10, or perhaps doing offer, maybe limit if what is the worry? Is it the cash? Is it the?
Angie, correct me if I have the numbers wrong. We are concerned about the accrued liability. As of June 30th, 2022, we had 2.3 million accrued liability. By making this change, we can decrease it to 779,000.
that is a theoretical maximum if everyone uses all of it? Okay. How often do people who have, who are in the bargaining units that get these, how often do they use, how common is it to cash out all these days, or do people usually not do that?
So the handbook changed that you can't use, when you retire, you don't get to use up your vacation at the end. So when you retire, that's your retirement date. So whatever you have on the books, because it's earned and accrued under the Fair Labor Standards Act, we have to pay it out. So the 2.3 million is actual dollars on the books that if every employee left right now, that would be the liability to the district.
But we know that they don't, right? We know that it's not a high, is it a high percentage that cash out a lot of days at the end? Is it, what is our experience on that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't actually have numbers to share specific numbers, but I can tell you that every administrator that leaves sends me an email requesting for the payout. And we have quite a few this year. I'm sorry, I don't have specific numbers, Andrew.
I guess I was thinking more of specific, I mean, I know administrators do that, but that's a different kind of.
Go ahead, Nancy.
But this would get rid of how much this year, because you're gonna let people do that, right? For 1 year. So what is that cost?
The payout, you mean? So what this would be is we would have, everybody could use this, they have a whole year to which to use it. And then if they still have extra, then it would be paid out up to that amount while we have some funding, and could use that now versus when we are having a big deficit. Because when people earn it at one rate and then they cash it out at another rate, it becomes that interest over the time. And so we want to keep that contained. Otherwise, it's a liability on the books.
I understand that, but what I'm concerned about is the number, the actual number, like how many people will do that this year? And then the rest of the years, they could only go to 10. So then it's done, right? Yeah.
But we will pay it out for everybody who has that. So nobody will be at loss.
So even if you're not retiring or leaving, everybody can do that this year.
Yep. I would say,
Sorry. Okay. I still think that going from 30 to 10 is really quite a big chunk. And I think these people who are working just really work hard. And I think like I'd be willing to maybe go 15, but I just think we want to continue to even, be attractive to all our employees.
this isn't how much they earn, because that schedule is next, which will show that they are earning more. So this is how much they can carry over from year to year. So they actually will earn more in theory and be able to take more. And then this would be the amount that they would carry over.
Andrew.
I move to amend the allowable rollover days from 10 to 15.
Second.
Go ahead.
They're going to ask questions, and that you're here tonight, and you're asking for a vote on this, and we have representatives of employees present. Coming to the board, you had reached an agreement that you representing the employees were comfortable with the deduction from 30 to 10. Based on there is a holistic debate about there is, I think, more grandfathering in of the accumulation of days. So can you speak to that, please?
I'm Ben DeLee with Local 3055. So I support the labor union for the facility staff and hourly workers. This was a hot subject. And I have, there's a lot of support from a lot of the workers that are out there, a lot of the board, but there are tough sides of it. And you kind of have to just, I don't know, it goes both ways. I've kind of turned into a punching bag the past week from both ends trying to figure out what was the best solution on this. So I really value the new vacation schedule, working collaboratively with Melissa on getting the rollover or the grandfather moved down, and the new accrual of vacation, I think, is important for new employees. I think it is an incentive for them. So the biggest part of it was the rollover, I think, right at this point. That probably doesn't help at all.
You're correct, sir.
Go ahead.
I recognize that we're going to be having lots of very difficult decisions that are going to be fiscally impacting our district on this. I think that we've made some really strong progress on some other decisions, and speaking to the motion that's on here, I don't support the motion. I would love to be able to, but I mean, we have a lot of difficult decisions that we're going to have to make and find that middle ground. And I feel that the middle ground on this one with the 10 days, well, I would love to be able to. I can't support the motion on it. We've got a lot of big issues coming up with it. And I think this is one that we can save some money, and the employees are being given that opportunity to figure it out. I'm sorry, not to figure it out, to make sure that they are able to utilize the benefits that they've had with it. So.
Okay, does anyone, go ahead.
Can we just have Angie come up here, just make sure that the board is aware of what booking a liability means and the practical implications of that? Because we're talking about a reduction of 1.3 or more million. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands what that means.
Sure. So when we talk about accrued liability, so it's as of a certain date. So when we talk about the 1.3 million that Vicky just stated, that is as of a certain date. So when we take a look at what we've got on carryover for the books for all of those staff members that can carry over vacation, we multiply the number of days by their hourly rate, and then that's what the liability is on the book. So as of June 30th of 22, like you stated, Lori and Melissa, if we had to pay out everybody at that point, that would be the amount that we would have to pay out, that $2.3 million. So of course that changes, fluctuates as people use vacation, as they accrue more vacation towards that 35 or 30 max day, depending on what bargaining unit you are in.
But the liability that you book removes that dollar, right, from the general fund for use. So you can't spend that dollar. So when you say you're reducing your liability by $1.3 million, that's introducing those dollars back into general fund, correct?
Correct.
1.6. Great point.
Okay. We have Andrew's motion on the floor. We have a motion and a second. If there's any more discussion, we can take a vote. On the amendment, sorry, an amendment. Are we good to take that vote? Okay, Kinsey,
Lyerly,
No.
Welch,
Yes.
Mills,
No.
Leighton and Warren,
No.
McCoy,
no.
Gerlach,
No.
Becker,
Yes.
motion.
Motion fails. We're back to the original motion. Is there any further discussion? All right, I think we're ready to take a vote on that one. Kinsey,
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried. The results of the individual board member votes are as follows. Becker, yes. McCoy, yes. Leighton and Warren, no. Welch, yes. Lyerly, yes. Mills, yes. Gerlach, yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is G. Is that correct? Yes, thank you. Approval of recommendation for revision to vacation accrual schedule for non-exempt employees. Would someone please read the motion?
I move that the revisions to the employee handbook regarding the vacation accrual schedule for non-exempt employees as presented be approved.
Second? Okay. Questions, discussion, Lynn?
Just want confirmation that the employees are good with this. Okay, thank you.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Any other questions, Andrew?
Yes, again, just with regards to how much, there have been a lot of stuff has happened over 2 weeks. We talked about, 2 weeks ago. Let's see what happens over the next 2 weeks. So if we could just review exactly where we ended up and what changes were made. Is there anything that we're gonna get calls about is unusual or upside down, or you ended up at 12 was worse than 11 or something like that?
So the recommendation on the 10th was that we were going to increase the days from that grid that you have on there, starting at year 5. And then at year 20, those would be grandfathered in to still keep everybody would be capped at 25, but then those at year 20 would still be able to keep their 30. In further discussion, it's gone back to those who are in year 12 will still increase days and will go to 30. So there'll be more days added for everybody. I take that back, not everybody, but over time, everybody. So it depends on the year. So I don't want to misspeak on that.
Brian?
Two of the things I appreciate the most of this is it compresses the amount of not flexibility, before the employees will reach that top number, which is an approach that's been utilized in a lot of different areas. And it also makes sure that we have any staff members that would be, I refer to it as a donut hole where they're kind of in between, that's being resolved. I think the fact that we were able to get the 43 employees, am I reading that as the correct spot? To make sure that we are showing our value to our experienced employees and also our new employees is tremendous. And I want to thank you for the work that you did on that. So thank you.
I'm sorry, it's actually 93 people will be grandfathered in. So it's
Even better.
Okay. Andrew?
Okay, so any and all concerns about is anyone worse off have been resolved to the satisfaction of the employee units?
With moving the donut hole, as Brian calls it, kind of got termed that, down to 12, actually no one is negatively affected by it. So the people moving on to the new vacation schedule before year 12 will actually accrue vacation faster, and the people above year 12 will still have the opportunity of moving to the 30-year vacation day mark, but also not being caught up by the people below year 12. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for everyone.
All right. Brian?
I just want to add that when we're looking at our employees that this impacts, it's our hourly employees, which also includes our facilities people that are plowing the buildings, being called in at whatever hours they are. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to show that we appreciate our employees and continue to value their experience and their expertise with us. So.
Okay. All right. I think we're ready to vote. Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Very good. Thank you for joining us again.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Okay, moving on to H, recommendation for repeal of policy 2221, rule 2, administration benefits guidelines. Would someone please read the motion?
I move that the Board of Education policy 222.1, rule 2, administration benefits guidelines be repealed.
Second.
Discussion, questions? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Thank you. Next is I, approval of wellness policy review, and no recommended changes. Could someone please read the motion? Go ahead, Nancy.
I move that pursuant to Board of Education Policy 458, the district's compliance evaluation of the wellness policy be adopted and that no revisions to the to policy in Rule 458 be made. As presented, be approved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion or questions? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay, and finally. Thank you very much, Melissa. You don't want to talk about AstroTurf? Okay. Good to see you back. Yes. Welcome. All right. So we're gonna talk about the, so purchase of Preble Stadium artificial turf materials and installation. Could someone read the motion?
I move that the Midwest Sport and Turf Systems be awarded the bid for artificial turf materials and installation at Preble Stadium in the amount of $404,592.10 as presented to be approved.
Second.
Love to know what that 10 cents is.
It's 2 extra blades.
Yeah, so do we have any, sorry, questions, discussion? Go ahead, Lynn.
Maybe I can get some basic information this time and I won't have to ask this in the future. I just don't, I mean, I understand about bids and I read this and I understand about different prices from different companies, et cetera. But I just would like clarification. What is the Rattler Corporation and how does that work? Can you explain that to me?
Sure. So the Rattler Corporation, they're basically the architects and they're doing all of the design work for this project. And then they'll be lining up other vendors and contractors to complete various tasks within the project. So this is one of those kind of subtasks, which is installation of the turf itself, right? The same people that roll the turf out aren't the same people necessarily who remodeled the concession stand, for example.
And my understanding is that we did vote on hiring them to do this.
Yes, Rattler's services were taken to a board vote, I think in December.
Okay. I didn't recall that until today, and so that's would explain why that document has their heading on it. So,
So can I just follow up?
yes, please.
So I'm looking at it. I think that what this means is that Rattler sought bids from different companies and that the one they are recommending we go with is Midwest Sport and Turf Systems.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Since we never get to see you, Mike, do you have anything to add here?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions. They opened the bids last week and this is just, one of the components of the entire Preble and Southwest field renovations.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Want to stress, just kind of question, when we're looking at installing turf on sports fields, it's actually cheaper in the long run for the district, I believe, relatively speaking, as far as upkeep and increases the playability. And there's a lot of benefits besides just a shiny new field with it, correct?
Yes, that's right. It's a little bit marginally more money up front to do artificial turf, but saves a lot down the road in terms of maintenance, and it extends seasons and allows for additional uses, not just for athletics, but for physical education. So it is for a small investment, it provides a lot of value and actually saves money in the long run.
Anybody else? Yes, please.
I just want to say that seeing the progress towards this is really awesome. I know a lot of students that are really looking forward to this, not only because, shiny new field, but also the safety aspect of it, not playing on a muddy field in the harsher seasons that we have. So seeing the progress on this is awesome.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I think we're ready to vote. Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay. Below you'll see the meeting schedule. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
You have been watching the Green Bay Area Public School District's Board of Education meeting. Please visit the school district's website, www.gbaps.org, to view the program again. If you cannot fully access the information on this video, please let us know the accessibility issue you are having by calling 920-448-2025 or by email at communications@gbaps.org. We will try to provide the information to you in an alternative format and/or make the necessary improvements to make the information accessible.